What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, it looks like Nintendo has finally posted up their big Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals for the eShop on the Switch, putting several of their first-party games on discount, and we'll take a look at all of those here today. Also, we are going to be talking about that Microsoft Activision PlayStation situation once again, as it appears there's a new offer on the table for Microsoft, and Jim Ryan still isn't having it. And we'll also be talking about an interesting leak for Nintendo showing off what their original thought was around a logo for the Switch before it was called the Switch. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Evil West, as we did have reviews go live yesterday. This is a game that is out today, and I've been pretty curious about this one. I was getting vibes as like an Xbox 360 third-person kind of shooter, and it looks like I'm not too far off from that. First, let's take a look at the Metacritic here, sitting at a 73, maybe a little lower than I was expecting. The current split is 13 positive and 12 mixed. This would be for the PC review side of things. It's kind of split between all of the different platforms here. And we have a range of different reviews to go over. For example, we have Gamer.no saying one of the year's most shocking surprises, gives us both an entertaining story and incredibly fun and constantly evolving gameplay. Right in the middle at a 75, we do have Xbox Era saying poor writing and some technical issues are not enough to hold back what is otherwise a blast to play, solo or co-op. If a turn your brain off type of killathon sounds appealing, I think this one is worth it. And then towards the bottom, we do have VG247 saying, however you feel about Evil West, the $50 to $60 asking price is too steep for what's on offer. The nature of its level design, limited enemy variety, and forgettable story will get in the way of your enjoyment, even if you're only there for the combat as engaging as it is. So I'll still be checking out Evil West at some point. I have so much stuff happening now, trying to work through Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at the same time as going through God of War Ragnarok, which keeps pulling me away from the main story to look at all the side content. So a lot of games to keep up with, and Evil West kind of gonna go on in the backlog until I can finally get to it, maybe later on this year. Also, we did have the release date announced for the latest Booster Course pass and package for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. There's a full trailer that was released, as well as a card that shows off the different tracks. This posted up here on Nintendo Life, December 7th. 2022. They also listed all of the different tracks, starting with Maple Treeway, Rainbow Road, Boo Lake, Berlin Byways, Rock Mountain, Peach Gardens, London Loop, and Merry Mountain, with several of these tracks from Mario Kart Tour. Great if you're someone who didn't download the mobile Mario Kart game, and you'll be able to check out some of the tracks just on your Switch that way. The reason I'm excited for this is because it's one step closer to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe finally going away, and I still have at least until the end of 2023 to wrap up the Booster Course Pass, and I'd like to think that in 2024 we start hearing about what's next for the Mario Kart franchise, and I think that's still a good title to launch the next-gen Switch with and make it full cross-gen. That has the chance to do some massive things in the sales charts, but for now we'll be looking towards, I guess, next year when we have more updates for the Booster Course Pass. Oh, and with the Game Awards right around the corner, we're starting to hear about maybe some announcements that could be there when it comes to new games or updates for current games. For example, we can see this posted up over on Insider Gaming from Tom Henderson saying Insider Gaming has learned that Final Fantasy 16 pre-orders are to go live on either December 7th or December 8th, which places it right around the time of the Game Awards. And as they point out here, unless Square Enix or Sony is planning a showcase themselves one day prior, that's sort of what we can look towards, is maybe a trailer for the game being shown off at the Game Awards with an official release date, since you would most likely want to have that when pre-orders go live. We understand that sometime late summer we would see this game released, so summer 2023, maybe in August. That seems like a good month for it, and I'm hopeful that we do see it at the Game Awards with, I assume, just more over-the-top gameplay and exciting stuff, because every time they've shown it, it's got better and better, and now I'm just ready to find out when it's coming out. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo's Black Friday, Cyber Monday eShop sale. Now, this obviously would be for all digital games, and we talk about a lot of the physical games here for Black Friday, but we were expecting Nintendo to have some discounts on their eShop, and this is good if you're someone maybe gifting a Switch, setting all this up ahead of time. You can make a Nintendo account, buy these games, and just link it to the account ready to go for later in December when the system gets open and all this. Then you can just start downloading everything from there. But let's take a look at the sales and deals page here, and you're going to notice there are a bunch of first-party games on sale, which is good because that seems to be a big occasion when Nintendo actually puts things like Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury 30% off at $42. We have Skyward Sword HD at $42. I saw Cult of the Lamb was down to $20. If someone could let me know in the comments, has that game been fixed? Because we saw that there were some issues with the game on the Switch and people were a bit confused why it wasn't being fixed. I haven't had a chance to check in on that since then. So let me know down in the comments and everyone else if it's something worth picking up now. We have New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at $42, my great Wii U game there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga Collection. This is a good pickup, $28 with the amount of content there. Absolutely, you can go ahead and just skip right over FIFA 23 Legacy Edition, even at $20. Fire Emblem Three Hopes, $42. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot plus a new Power Awakened at $30. I like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. I feel like we've seen it much cheaper on other platforms, but still there it is at $30. Kirby Star Allies, $42. Luigi's Mansion 3, awesome pickup there. That one's $42. The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, half off at $30. Remember, that does have an upgrade path to their latest anniversary edition, which is stacked just on top of that $30 purchase there. Castlevania Advanced Collection at $12. Absolute steal. Definitely worth picking that one up. Neon White, that's been talked about quite a bit as one of the best indie games of the year, there at $20. NBA 2K23 at $27, which, according to Sean and others who do enjoy the 2K series on the Switch, there's been good versions of the game. Star Wars Knights of the Republic 2, awesome title there. Classic title that did have that issue fixed. That one at $11.14. Astral Chain, $42. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 at $42. No More Heroes 3 at $30. Alien Isolation, which is a very good port on the Switch. That one at $15. Dot Hack GU Last Recode at $25. It's a compilation of those Dot Hack games. So once again, I like to pick up some of the collections that I don't have yet when they go on sale because there's just a ton of value there. And then Burnout Paradise Remastered, which is an awesome game. That one at $9.89. Also, many of the Doom games are on some pretty steep discounts, with Doom 2016 at $12. Doom Eternal, that's the game and the DLC bundle, at $15. And Doom 64, $2. And then from there are many other third-party games on sale for the eShop. So let me know what you're checking out here. And of course, leave some suggestions down below for anyone maybe who's picking up a Switch for the first time this holiday season. Next up, let's talk about that Microsoft Activision PlayStation situation once again that appears to be really centering around Call of Duty, which, why wouldn't it? Massive franchise, $1 billion made in the first week or so of it being on the market, especially with Modern Warfare 2 absolutely taking over. I noticed the other day that just on Steam alone, nearly 500,000 concurrent players. That, with the other systems in mind added together, could be millions of people playing things like Warzone all at once. So naturally, Sony is sweating a little bit with Microsoft looking to acquire Activision Blizzard. And it's been an ongoing saga for a while now as we work towards mid-2023 when we're expecting this deal to close and Microsoft to officially own Activision Blizzard as well as Call of Duty. Well, we had some interesting developments here in the story, as originally Jim Ryan pushed back on a deal or an offer that was placed essentially on their desk from Microsoft and Phil Spencer, with Call of Duty being available through an agreement on PlayStation, what we assume to be up through almost 2026, 2027. Now it appears that offer has been extended further than that. We can see this posted up. This is over on VGC, and it's quoting New York Times. I noticed New York Times has that paywall thing set up, so I'll go ahead and link both VGC and New York Times. They say they told the New York Times that it had offered the 10-year deal to Sony on November 11th. So pretty close. That is where Sony denied to comment on the claim there. However, we do have a comment or a statement from Jim Ryan, who told the publication it was not true that his company had misled regulators. Microsoft is a tech giant with a long history of dominating industries, and it is highly likely that the choices gamers have today will disappear if this deal goes ahead. Wow, so that's actually a pretty eye-opening statement, because originally we're kind of looking at this as, well, what we're seeing out of PlayStation is they're trying to posture a bit and essentially get concessions that will be made by Microsoft to regulators to get this deal through by making a big deal around Call of Duty and really focusing on it, saying it's impossible for them to make anything that could compete with it, whereas most other companies are like, yeah, whatever, they can go and buy Activision Blizzard, what do we care? Well, Sony, they're definitely putting up a bit of a defense here, and now it seems like Jim Ryan's saying, well, we can't have this deal go through at all, because it will eliminate choices going forward for players. And I do think that's a bit overdramatic. I mean, 10 years is, it seems like a pretty good deal. You'd be thinking, all right, so 10 years from now, we'd be looking at 2032, 2033. If this is after Sony's current deal runs up, 2034? I mean, to me, that's pretty good overall for, I would assume, a company like Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard that doesn't necessarily have to do anything at all and just leave it up to regulators, which we are seeing some regions say we don't really take the COD exclusivity thing into account when we've approved this. To me, it just seems like Jim Ryan knows his best shot is to work on the CMA and attempt to convince them that this is a deal that cannot go through, most likely since in the US and other parts of the world, it will most likely be approved overall without too many concessions. I think something will have to be put in writing ultimately that Call of Duty will be on PlayStation for some extended period of time. And hey, 10 years is currently on the table. If I'm PlayStation, maybe I take that and I start planning out 10 years from now, how do I have my own Call of Duty-like game? Maybe it's SOCOM, maybe it's a new IP or something that I can spend the next decade working to build up with multiple iterations of that game as a live service platform. And then we see what happens heading into 2033 or 2034. So we'll see what happens. I still believe that this deal is going to go through at some point, and it might run up all the way until mid-2023. Next up, let's talk about an interesting leak that got out there from Nintendo showing what their plans were for a logo before the Switch, I guess, logo was done or made or conceptualized, almost a placeholder for the NX. We can see this tweet posted up by Paul Kelly, who says the Nintendo Switch's codename was the NX, and this was an early logo and boot-up animation used during development of the console. It was found in the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe prototype. This was never seen outside Nintendo. So what I'm gonna do is I will link their Twitter account, I mean Paul Kelly's below, and you can go and check it out there. The reason I'm saying that is because Nintendo, this is something that does kind of skate that line with, will they copyright strike, will they not copyright strike, because this is legit. It seems that this came from a very early build, as they mentioned here, for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, all right? So it shows the NX logo, or just the N and an X, and then, interesting enough, on the left, a circle that has another circle kind of spinning around, and I saw some people joking that it reminds them a bit of Joy-Con drift, and maybe Nintendo's been planning that this whole time. No, but in all seriousness, I was trying to figure out what that logo and animation would like symbolizes, almost like it's come full circle now to where they have brought their handheld and their console divisions together under one umbrella, and they're just developing going forward on this hybrid model that's essentially become the groundwork and foundation for their video game business. Again, hard to say. I could be looking too far into it and they're just like, hey, this is a fun animation to put next to this placeholder text for the NX. And I've always been curious as to how these different companies come up with the code names, and there have been some interesting ones, some fun ones, some weird ones, and that actually plays into our poll that we'll check out here in a minute. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about something that should shock absolutely no one. Turns out Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are selling really well. We'll get an idea as to how well when we see the Japanese sales charts here in a couple of days and we get a number that most likely will be 7 digits. But we do have some early indications out of the UK. We can go over to gamesindustry.biz, where they say Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is the latest video game to post huge launch sales in the UK. In fact, if we take a look at the top 10, We have Pokemon Violet, then Pokemon Scarlet. Congratulations, everyone. We got the right one there at the top with Violet beating out Scarlet by actually a decent amount. It's 52% of sales for Violet, 42% for Scarlet, and then 6% going to that double pack for both games. That's right, there's 3 different placements on this chart for Pokemon. So again, Scarlet at 2, FIFA 23 at 3, God of War Ragnarok at 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, then the double pack there at 6, Horizon Forbidden West, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Nintendo Switch Sports, Sonic Frontiers. Remember, these are all physical retail sales, so just over the counter there, and it is the biggest boxed game launch of the year. In fact, the opening week sales are up 4% compared with FIFA 23. That's right, FIFA 23 in the UK. Massive, massive opening every single year for FIFA. Incredibly popular there. Pokemon beat it out by 4%. And remember, Pokemon released on one platform, whereas FIFA 23 is a multi-platform release. And apparently you have to go back to Sun and Moon, because otherwise this is the biggest Pokemon launch ever. Now, if you take revenue into account, not just units sold, then it is the biggest ever for Pokemon, which makes sense. These are $60 games as opposed to, what, $40 games for Sun and Moon. But it's not shocking, I think, to hear that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are often moving, even though the performance issues, a lot of the talk around Game Freak pushing this game out early. Turns out the sales don't necessarily reflect that, as it's Pokemon and it's going to sell. And it's one of the reasons I think I would have preferred for them to hold on to it a bit longer and work on it maybe into next year and move Legends Arceus up to this holiday as that being the big Pokemon game. Only because we know it's going to sell, they know it's going to sell. Sure, that's probably a reason to push it out, but I think that's a reason with the kind of money they make to make it a more quality release overall. Again, we'll see more about some of the sales with Famitsu later on this week. And then next month, we'll really find out, I think, some big time sales and data with the MPD release. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask which of these game console code names from Nintendo is your favorite. Look at Dolphin for the GameCube, 45%. The NX for the Switch at 20%, 18% for the Revolution, which was the Wii, 12% on Ultra 64 as the N64, and then 4% for Project Cafe on the Wii U. You know, out of these, I really liked Revolution. That sounded super cool, and then they were like, now it's called the Wii. But if you look back on it, makes a ton of sense considering that really marked the time where Nintendo decided to pivot everything away from trying to create the most powerful system, really ended up coming up with the most creative system that would appeal to a wide audience. That worked with the Wii. Not so much with the Wii U, but certainly with the Switch, and that's something that, well, the concept of the hybrid model, clearly, I would assume, something Nintendo will continue to focus on for generations to come. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Justin saying, I hate knowing how much better the Pokemon games could be, but man, I can't stop playing. Shaping up to be my favorite games in a very long time. I will admit, the games are fun. Like, I'm playing Violet right now, and I will admit, sometimes it's a struggle. The frame rate, the way the game looks, sometimes the camera just completely goes through the ground and you just see nothingness. And then the top part is your Pokemon standing on this chunk of what looks like a PS2 texture. But at the end of the day, they have the core concept that I would like them to build on in the future. The game just should have come out in a better state, but you can still have fun with it. And I do see people who really, just attack others when they say they're having fun with the game. You're allowed to have fun with it, but I think we can all admit, looking at it, Game Freak's got to do better, and I'm hoping that is the case going forward, starting with a patch for these games. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here. Today was the Nintendo eShop sale for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. What were you looking to pick up there? And then also, what about Microsoft offering Sony a 10-year deal for Call of Duty? Is it time that PlayStation took that offer so we can finally get all of this acquisition talk around Activision and Microsoft out of the way? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.